Back at Cal when we first started that whole group, of freshmen and stuff. So it's been a couple of years. I mean, it's been 4, 5, 6 years since, but it's fun. I mean, we have intense practices. We bring in practice guys, but we have some intense practices. We can go against ourselves. We can go against the guys. We have more options, and so we get to compete a little bit better. I think in practice that will eventually help us in game-like atmosphere.
I know your defense, you're still kind of defensively, you're still bringing it along. But where are you guys offensively at this point?
Yeah, it's good. We have a motion. We have 2 different motion offense. We'll use a little Princeton stuff, some chin action. We'll use just some flare, baseline, free-flowing kind of motion. Just get a lot of movement, just to make the ball move from side to side. We shot the ball pretty well yesterday in a scrimmage, and we've been shooting the ball. But we have some people that can really shoot it. Faith and Michaela can shoot it. Lauren can shoot it a little bit. So we have weapons this year. So yeah, there's good balance out there. We need to probably get a better inside to outside attack game going right now. I think we're a little unsure of ourselves with that, but I think we can put, hopefully we can get 3 to 4 people averaging double figures in games.
Would you like to play 2 posts together
Yeah.
at the same time?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a traditional lineup with more of a 3-guard, 2-post look. Just with Lauren and SI and Sydney and Sarah Beth stretches us a little bit in more of a 4, a guard-like 4. So, but between Sid and SI and Lauren, they're doing a good job just with that rotation.
Sure, a lot of.
A reminder, sorry to cut you off. We do have a microphone so that people can hear the questions back home. So, go ahead.
I'm sure a lot of these people have heard the story, but for those of us who haven't heard you on the subject, what is the background of your move to the pack line?
A couple of different things. We were running our first year we ran a 1-2-2 matchup, and I thought it was really good for us. And then we tried to do it the next 2 years, and I don't know that our personnel fit it as well. And just with injuries and trying to teach it and not being able to really do it every day, I think we got a little bit of exposed. And so moving forward with just the young group that we had, I kind of just made a commitment to myself, and just that I've always been a man-to-man coach. And I thought one of the things about the man-to-man was just the accountability factor. I just wanted us as a program kind of starting with a lot of youth to have a lot of accountability. And it's obviously easier to do that man-to-man. And the pack line allows you to do that. And there's some things that I thought were would be very helpful to our team. You don't switch guard to guard, so obviously you're accountable for that. You can pick up, you can play it in half court, you can pick up and pressure it a little bit. I thought, one of our weaknesses, I would say, would be guarding the ball. So the way you kind of play gap action in the pack would be very helpful for us. We're small in the post, so being able to double trap in the post and the rotations out of that, I thought fit us well. So there were a lot of things that I looked at. Being able to pull some people. We weren't the best offensive rebounding team last year anyway. And because we don't have that size, taking transition away from other teams by pulling people off the glass is part of the pack line. So I thought there were some things that fit us really well this year. And so I sat down with Tony and his staff in the spring, and they spent a lot of time. Tony's dad came down and spent some time with me, and my assistants. And so we've just spent a lot of time, and I really like it. By no means are we perfected in it, and we have some shortcomings, and we don't have all the length that we need. But I feel like the girls are working hard and really bought into it, and we just got to stay with it and get better as we move forward.
Faith, obviously last year being the 6th man on this team, the best in the league, you still averaged 25 minutes a game. How much are things different, this year as a starter? Is it much of a change, or is it just a change in my mentality? Is there more pressure on you being a starter, or what's different about that role?
Well, every year, player always gets a new role. So, just for me, not really coming off the bench anymore. But being a starter, just trying to still, bring energy like I did last year. There's a lot of similarities between those roles, but I don't think much has changed just because I'm starting. Like, I'm still gonna, bring energy, encourage my teammates, and just, be a great teammate and play hard offensively and defensively.
For both players, how has the adjustment to the pack line been for you guys? Sarah, maybe start with you, Faith. It's a new defense. Obviously, Coach is talking about it, but what's it been like for you guys?
I mean, it's new to us, but I just feel like we're really working hard to get in every details about the pack line. I mean, we started during the summer, and our coaches kind of like gave us like an idea of how the pack line works, and I just feel like we drilled it a lot during the summer, and once practices started, we had like an idea, and it's been getting better every single day, I can tell.
Joanne, talk about the Africa trip, I guess, that got canceled, and how much of a setback was that in terms of the time you intended to spend with younger players?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it was disappointing not to be able to go, but obviously we understand why we could not go. I mean, never in a million years did I think our trip would be canceled because of a deadly virus. And, you know, so we were really gearing up to just practice and take a young team over there and have an experience, not only game experience, but just a completely different experience being in a third world country. And so, you know, not to be able to give that to them on both ends of the spectrum was, you know, I would have liked to, but obviously we could not do it. So, so we're, you know, we'll figure it out. We'll find another way. Obviously, I don't think we'll be going back to Africa anytime soon, just with what everything's going on. So whether we take another trip or, you know, just figure out another place, another destination. But you know, you're just trying to do team bonding things with your team throughout the season and do it that way. But we're healthy and we've got to practice a lot, and that's part of my last 2 years that we haven't been able to do. So just being in practice together on the floor, we're kind of creating a chemistry and trying to create that atmosphere that we would have been able to if we would have been able to go to Africa.
Joanne, Faith made a huge jump between her first and second years in conditioning, production, the whole deal. Do you see any other young players who might make similar jumps this year?
I think Faith puts a lot of time into her game, and I think Michaela Vincent puts a lot of time into her game, and I think the others are learning. I think Lauren's learning how to do that. I think Aaliyah's learning how to do that. I think Faith and Michaela do it probably at the highest level I've seen. But hopefully everybody, you know, the more people you have in the gym, it's easier for other people to kind of follow. And so I think those two in particular, or Michaela in particular, but I think the other kids spend time. They're definitely gym rats. I mean, they like being in the gym. So they'll come in extra with coaches. They'll stay after. I'm not sure, you know, I'm not here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but, you know, I know a lot of times kids are in study hall and we'll stop by after study hall, but they're engaged in it. They definitely are. Just Michaela tends to get in the gym at 5 a.m., and I don't know how many people are following her at 5 a.m.
Coach, you're talking about Michaela, just to follow, if you can talk more specifically about what she has added to the team on the floor, and maybe, ladies, if you can talk about what it's like playing with her, what you feel like she's added to the team.
She's a true point guard. You know, she's trying to learn how to be kind of like a general out there and run the team. You know, she's a freshman. She's got good basketball IQ, but she's got a lot to learn, just like all freshmen do. And so she's trying to learn the game. And a lot of that's game management, you know, just how to manage a game, when to push, when not to push, things like that. I think right now she's, you know, she's picking up ball and trying to zigzag some kids down the floor. And so I have to be careful of how much to use her on people's best players. A lot of times I think that's going to be Faith's role and Michaela's role. But she can shoot the ball. She can. She's a good passer. She's got a mid-range game to her. She can push tempo. I wouldn't say that she has a major weakness in her game. I think it's just tightening things up, and just learning the pace of the game at the college level. Yeah.
For Faith and SI, you guys kind of came in together in a way that you guys were both your first year playing, were the same year. How have you two kind of fed off each other through this year? What have you learned, and are you guys ready to kind of embrace this role as leaders and kind of the go-to players in this team?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I love playing with Faith. She really works really hard, and I just feel like she's a great leader for this team because she tries to lead by examples. Because the younger players, they see her work ethic and they just want to follow up and be like her. And I'm just excited. I'm just excited for the season. I'm excited to play with Faith and with the rest of my teammates. And I'm just looking forward to a great year.
Faith, what's been the most challenging part for you of learning the new defense?
I guess the most challenging part is probably like the reacting. You have to react on the fly to the ball, and when you're late, it kind of messes things up, and it can break down easily. So, us five really have to be together every time we step on the floor on defense.
Joanne, to follow up, did Tony kind of warn you that there would be bumps in the road early on and that
He
you
said,
have to be committed to it? That it
he
could
was
keep
great.
them
He's
from
like, don't
going
quit
back?
on it. Yeah, he just said, just stay with it, stay the course. He said, when he introduced it, it was 2 years before his team was completely, I don't want to say engaged, but understood the principles and all that. It really comes down to a defense that's very detailed oriented, and you have to understand the nuances of the details. And if you don't, then it's just a man-to-man defense or a sagging man-to-man defense, and that's not the premise of it, So it's the attention to detail that's really important, and some of it's a little unconventional from what kids have learned growing up. So it's kind of breaking bad, I would say, other habits and introducing new habits to them. And so just staying with it is going to be key for us, and not just scrapping it just because it's not working in the first 5-6 months.
What do you need from Brianna this year for this to be a good team?
Well, she's a combo. She can play both ball and off ball. Her defense is really what I need her. I need her to be able to be one of those people that can just pick up the point guard and keep them in front of them, because I can't use Faith and Michaela for that purpose and then expect them to score for us too on all the occasions. So I need her to be a person that can really add to that and really help us on their point guard. Consistency on offense, being that secondary ball handler for us along with Michaela, and taking her shots, just taking what the defense gives her. I think she's a quiet person. She's just an introvert, and so getting her to be more vocal on the court and kind of be a floor general out there as well and demand, certain things from her teammates and not be afraid to do that, kind of step into that, get out of that, be that second year that can really just kind of be a vocal leader out there for us, because that's not her nature. So those are some of the things that I'm looking for her to do.
Coach, if the identity defensively is pack line, what is the identity offensively? You're pretty athletic with Jaleesa and Aaliyah and some of the players that have come in. Do you want to be a team that runs and pushes, or?
Yeah, I want to pick and choose. When it's the time is there and it's opportune time, I want to take it. I don't want to slow the ball down, but I don't want to be running on every possession depending on clock and score and time management. So we do have I feel like two good offenses, motion type things that just move the ball on both sides of the floor. And I like both of what they do, and they give us different looks. So I think for us, we just have to pick and choose times to run it. Yes, I do want to run, but we're not going to be a team that's just in a track meet. That's not going to be our MO. And because we do have people to score, I think moving the ball around and having an inside-outside game is important too. So it's going to be a balance for us, And talking about the pack, we're going to look at a little bit, I know Tony doesn't do it, but we're going to look at, just because we are small, and obviously Tony has length and some other things, and just philosophies, we're going to try and press a little bit, and back into the pack and just try and change momentum, because our 1-2-2 was good for us. But taking that back into man-to-man, and I've done that before, we're going to look at that and see if we can kind of just change tempo sometimes and maybe press up a little bit and do a 1-2-2 with it.
Looks like you have 6 players 6 feet or taller. I understand you've recruited some other players. As you look back at your tenure here to this point, how much of a problem has size been, and was that a matter of recruiting or philosophy or what?
It was definitely that philosophy. My philosophy has been to get bigs. So, I think what happened our first year, or our second year, every class is different, but there aren't a ton of bigs in every class. It just doesn't happen. And so we were lucky and unlucky that we did get in on the last 2 years some of the best posts in our area in the ACC. And we just, for better or for worse, I said, I knew we were going to get one of them. Just the conversations, and we're in their top 2, and we ended up being in the top 2 of both of these kids. And so we kind of had to hold off on the backups and put our eggs in those baskets, and both, in 2 years, those kids went to other places. So we were right there and lost them, and so we've kind of gotten ourselves into a situation where we still aren't big. So last year we went after hard, we went after people early, and we got, I can't talk about it, but we got 3 people that have some size to them. So, and losing Sarah Beth only, and you still have the team that we have today. I feel like, we finally have the group.
The biggest reason that you haven't had maybe 1, 2, 3 more wins a year because of size?
Yeah, I'm sure size has hurt us. I'm sure of it. Nothing comes easy to us on the rebounding. We things just don't fall. When you're big, just sometimes there's some ease to some things, whether it's defensively or offensively. So, but that's not to make an excuse. We're going to have to do what we need to do to win more games.
With this being such a young team, how much are you having to remind yourself of that and kind of exercising patience in practice so far?
Yeah, we can ask them. See if I've been patient. They're good. They're very coachable. It's really playing me as a coach. The young mistakes that come along. It's just holding my breath a little bit and letting them play through that, but not too often. Because I don't want to reel them in so tight, but I have to. We can't get in situations where teams go on runs because we're not disciplined.
You haven't had a lot of size, period, but particularly on the perimeter, to have Aaliyah as a guard at 6'1", I mean,
Yeah.
what does that allow her to do? And have you had a player kind of with that skill set here?
Yeah, well, Leah right now, she's a catch and shoot kid, and she can really knock it down. She's going to have to really work on her ball handling and all that, but she's really a catch and shoot. Defensively, that's another area that she's really working on, but she's a great shot blocker. If kids get by her, she's still taking their shot out of the air for them. So, her deal is just getting stronger. She does bring length, so that's going to help us it's going to help us in the pack when she becomes better at that. But I think people that have that athleticism, just every game you want to see them doing better. So I would say she gets 10 games underneath her belt. She's going to be hopefully point A to point C by then, or point D.
Joanne, how much with that young team and everything? How much do you lean on these two right here? And does that pack, and kind of second part is, does that pack line help Sarah, foul trouble wise and things like that?
Well, the reason, one of it is just because you do, a lot of times double your post players, and part of the reason is I looked at the pack is because of that Sarah, I would not have to go one-on-one every time down the floor against probably an opponent's bigger post player. So that to keep her on the floor was crucial for that. And then tell me the other part of your question. I'm sorry.
How much do you rely on these two
with
a young team and
yeah.
all the experience they have?
They have a lot of there are veterans, in terms of game minutes. I know they're only third years, but they have all the game minutes. And actually, on our way down here, I told Sarah, I said before the Ohio State game, I want you to watch that Georgia Tech game from last year, because that's the player that she needs to be for us this year. And Faith knows, her role is last year as a sixth man, this year as a starter. How I depended on her last year is the same that I will depend on her this year. And whether her scoring goes up, but I've said this time and time again, I feel like where Faith has really improved this year is her defense. She has become a very good defensive player.
Sarah, as one of the leaders, as a follow-up, what are the goals for this team, that you and Faith try to impart to the rest of the ladies on the team? Just specifically, what are some of the goals you guys are focusing on?
To make it to the NCAA tournament, that's our biggest goal, and to go far in the ACC tournament also.
One more question about the pack line. Obviously it's 3 or 4 years ago when you first saw it here. Were you intrigued by it from the start, or was it something you kind of gained an appreciation for over time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I was really studying it 3 or 4 years ago, with Tony, because we were just trying to find our own way, after accepting the job and trying to get our system set up. But when you're around somebody and you see, you watch the guys play and you watch Tony coach and you watch him recruit to the system. And so it's taken a couple years just to kind of evaluate, what that's done for him versus would it fit us. And so it's just been over the course of time. I didn't, get a chance to watch his teams out west that often. So it's really not until I've been under the same roof with them that it's been more a lot of good conversation and watching his practices and things like that that have very intrigued me to try it.
Faith, what's it been like? Just, like we've talked about, you are one of the older girls, one of the veterans on the team now. What's it like being in that kind of role now, looking around and everybody pretty much is younger than you now?
Well, you definitely have more of a responsibility just to, come to practice every day, ready to go. You definitely have more responsibility there. But it's great. The girls are ready to go. Just having a great group of girls, it makes your job easier. So, we get after it every day in practice and just get better each and every day.
Is it something that you kind of had to embrace or kind of came naturally to you?
Well, I'm not very a vocal type person. I feel like last year I kind of was more individual as what I need to do on the team, but this year I'm kind of seeking other people and helping other people out on what they need to do better this year. So.
Melissa was filling us in on the roster ahead of time. Is Brown sitting out this season?
Yeah, she transfer, so she's going to sit this year, and then she'll have 3 years with us.
Dave, Coach talked about Sarah's performance in that Georgia Tech game last year. How kind of fun was that just to be a part of? And do you see that kind of stuff in practice a lot with Sarah? And if you can get repeat performances like that every game, how far do you think you guys can go?
I mean, yeah, that Georgia Tech game was great. SI played great on the reboundings and just, finding her touches down low and just finishing. And I feel like she's been working on it consistently over the summer, just trying to be able to finish more. And, she's worked on her mid-range game. So I think that's definitely going to be a great resource for us as well. But, yeah, I mean, she's a hard worker and, she'll demand the ball when she's open, and us guards better give it to her. So.
Did Tony say if Kathy runs the pack line at Northern?
She does. Yeah, she does.
Otherwise, she'd be thrown out of the family.
Yeah, I think if you're part of that family, you're doing something pack related. Yeah, I think she actually presses up. I think she runs it a little bit more extended, yeah, I've seen Kathy around. She's great to talk to about it and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, the men's staff, as you all know, is just awesome. And just for them to take the amount of time they have taken over the course of, I mean, they'll watch film with me. They'll break down my practice. I mean, they are very, very giving of their time with all the things that they have on their schedule.